well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. So, today we'll be doing our grade 2 English lesson on homophones. Our grade 2 English lesson on homophones. And before we start with our lesson or our lesson on homophones, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts. Grade 2. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of homophones. All right, so our chapter is homophones. Our subject is English language arts. Grade 2. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of homophones is homophones with pictures, identify homophones, and we're going to use the correct homophone. So that is going to be our lessons for today under the chapter of homophones. All right, so homophones. So now we're going to find out what homophones are. So homophones are words that sound the same, but they have different spellings and meanings. So homophones, right, are words that sound the same, but they have different spellings and meanings. So that is a homophone, right? It's words that spells the same, but they have different spellings and they have different meanings. And an example, right? If we look at an example, my friends and I buy lunch at school. So my friends and I buy lunch at school. So the word buy, right? I'm just going to underline that word buy so long. So it says, my friends and I buy lunch at school. And this specific word buy, right? It means that you are going to pay for something. So if you either go to the school, I'm not sure if it's called tuck shop, because in South Africa we call it tuck shop at the school. Probably they call it the cafeteria at your school, the canteen, right? So whatever you name, for example, the place where you buy things, right? You need to buy, and once you buy things, it means that you need to pay for something in order to get something, and that is called buying, right? So my friends and I buy lunch at schools where you pay for something. So now one of the other words that sounds the same as buy is then we all eat together by the tree, by the big tree. Then we all eat together by the big tree. So buy, right? So as you can see, the first word buy, to pay for something, is buy, and the second buy is by, right? And this by that says, then we all eat together by the big tree, right? This means either near, right? This means near. So it means near. That is what this by means. And now, if you look at another example, right, or word that also sounds the same as buy, which is to pay for something, and another buy, which is near, we say bye to each other when the bell rings. And this word bye, which is BYE, is short for goodbye. It's like me saying goodbye after each of my sessions, right? And then most times you guys reply with bye. So just short for saying goodbye. So if you look at all three of these words, right? We have bye, then we have bye, and we have bye. So all of these three words, right? They sound the same. So all three of that words, they sound the same. But as you can see, the spelling is different. And also the meaning of these words are different. Because all three of them have different meanings. And they're spelled differently. Right? And that is what we call homophones, right? We call those homophones. And homophones are words that sound the same, but they have different spellings and the meanings are different. So the spellings and the meanings are different, but it's just that they sound the same. All right. If we now look at over here, it is homophones. Homophones, right? So homophones, once again, we said it's words that sounds the same, but have different meanings as well as the spellings are different, right? And if we look at a few examples, it says eight and eight. So eight and eight, right? And here they're giving us a number. And over here we have a picture of a lady that is eating. It says, I ate all my food. I ate all my food. And there are eight fingers. There are eight fingers. So which means that we have two different words over here that sounds the same, which is eight and eight. But as we can see, the spellings are different, as well as the meanings of these words are different. Because eight is to do with eating, right? It's like you're eating food. And then the other word, eight, it's to do with the number eight. Okay, and then we have another example, which is like sun and sun. My son is 5 years old. So my son is 5 years old. And then we have another one, which is the sun shines during the day. And then we have two pictures, the picture of the sun that shines all day or during the day. And here in the middle, we have the sun, right? The sun is the boy child of the parents. So sun and sun. So those are homophones. And why are they homophones? It's because they sound the same, but the spelling and the meanings are different. And once again, we have homophones, which has got the same sound, different spelling, different meaning. All right, so now if we look at a few examples before we go on to our tutorial. Here we have pair and pair. And they're also giving us pictures, right, to match with the specific word. So here we have pair and we have pair. And this pair is like, for example, pair of socks, pair of slippers, pair of gloves, right? It's like two of something. And this pair over here is a fruit. And then we have one and one. And this is like, for example, one, which is like where you either win a trophy, like you win something, right? And then this one is the number one. And then we have C, like with your eyes. And then we have sea, which is like the ocean. And I'm going to do one more. Then we have ant, which is that little small little insects that comes when we leave sweet things on the floor or on the counter. And then we have aunt, right? Your aunt, which is your mom's sister or your parents' sister. Right? So these are but a few examples, once again, of homophones, right? Where the word sounds the same, but they have different spellings and meanings. And we are doing our tutorial lesson on A plus students.ca. All right. So now we're going on to our first lesson, right? And it's homophones with pictures. And we made a few examples already of what homophones are, right? We see that it's words, it sounds the same, but have different spellings and meanings. So if you look at this girl over here, right, we need to match the picture with the specific word. What is the specific person doing with that letter or the pen? So now we need to choose the correct one. So she write a letter or she write a letter. So which word is the correct word that shows what she's doing? She write a letter. And she is busy writing a letter, right? So we can use this word, write a letter. So the first write is correct. So now we need to match the word with the picture, right? We have plain and we have plain. Which one is the correct one? Plain or plain? That matches with this picture over here. And if we were to select the correct one, then we would select plane, which is the first one, which refers to like your aeroplane, right? So it's the first plane. And that's correct. The first plane is correct. All right. And then this one, rose. We have rose and we have rose. Which one is the correct word that matches with the picture on the left? Is it the rose, which is ROWS, or rose, which is ROSE? That matches with the picture on the left. And if we choose the correct rose, right? Remember, this rose is like a flower. And then we're going to choose this rose, which is basically a flower. This rose over here, it's to do with your aisles. You like maybe go to the cinema, then you have different rows, right? Or aisles. All right, so now we're going on to our test. So we need to we need to say which word matches the picture. Is it the first word rose? So if we look at that word, is it rose the first word or rose the second option? So the first option rose or the second option rose? What is the correct answer that matches the picture? And if we were to select the correct word, and then yes, we will choose rose, right? Which is the second option. So rose, it's a flower, beautiful rose. So well done. Rose is correct. We need to say which word matches the picture. It's like asking, what is this girl doing with the pen in her hand? Is it option one, she writes a letter, or option two, she writes a letter? So is the first option right or the second option right? She writes a letter. And if we were to select the correct word, we would say right, which is the first word right. So well done, everybody. Right is correct. So which word matches the picture? If we look at that coin, right? Is it cent, which is the first option, or cent, which is the second option? So is it the first option, sent, or the second option, sent? So the first option, right? So the first option, right, is where like somebody sends you to get something. It's like your parent asking you to fetch. It's like your parents sending you to the your neighbors to go and get something. That is sent. And if we look at the, or if we choose the correct word, we will say it is cent, which is the bottom, cent. Like 1 cent, 5 cent, 50 cents. So cent with a C. And which word matches the picture? Is it the first word B or the second option B? So the first option B or the second option B? All right, so we're going to choose the second option, which is B. And well done, that is correct. Plain and plain. Option 1, plain, or option 2, plain? So plain, which is the first option, or plain, which is the second option? So if we choose the one of the options, we'll go for the second option, which is plain, right? This is short for aeroplane. So it's short for aeroplane. And then I or I, something that you use to see with. Is it I, which is option 1, or option 2, which is I? All right. So if we choose the word that shows what we see with, what we look with, right? And then we would say it is I, which is the second option. I. And then we need to match the picture with the word. Is a deer the first deer? Because these are deers. Or is it dear as in my dear? So which option is correct? So dear, which option is the correct one? I specifically made an example of the second one, which I said, my dear. Or it's like saying, dear diary. So dear. And if we choose the correct word, we'll choose the first option, which is dear. And now if we look at the number, right? Is it 2, which is the first 2, or the second option, 2? So it's the first option 2 or the second option 2. And if we choose the correct word, we will say it is 2, which is the second option. 2. Yes, so well done. 2 is correct. Now we're going to identify homophones, right? It says select the homophone of B. You will be at school tomorrow. B. What is another word is that sounds the same as bee, for like the sting of a bee? So bee. And if we were to select the word that matches the word bee, then we would say it's bee. And B is correct, right? Because those are homophones, words that sounds the same. Now we need to find a word that sounds the same as flew. The bird flew over the field of flowers. The bird flew over the field of flowers. So flew, no, flew. The bird flew over the field of flowers. We need to choose the word that sounds the same as flew. All right, so flew, right? And if we were to select the word that sounds the same as flew, and then we use the word flew, which is like fly, right? Flew and flew. All right, now we're going on to our test, right? Where we are going to select the homophone of buy. I always buy bread at the store. So buy. So is it the first option buy or is it bread? We select the homophone of buy, the word that also sounds the same as buy. So we said buy, right? Which is the first option. Yes, so buy is correct. We need to select the homophone of year. Year. It's like you hear with your ears. I hear a sound. There's a hole in my head right here. What is the homophone of year? There's a hole in my head right here. Is it here, which is the first option, or hole, which is the second option? Yeah. So we hear with our ears, we hear a song, we hear or listen to music. And if we look at the option that is the homophone of year, then we can say it's year. It's like over here, not there. So the first option here is correct. And then we need to select the homophone of bee, a bee that stings. Bee. Will you be at school tomorrow? So be is the first word be or at? Option one, be, or option two, at? So be. And if we choose the word, right, the homophone, then we'll choose the first option, which is be. So be, which is the first option, and that is correct. So now we're going to use the correct homophone. It says the bird flew over there, over the field of flowers. So flew, we need to choose the word flew or flew. Which one is the correct word between that two that I just wrote down? So the bird flew over the field of flowers. Which one is the correct word? So flew, we need to choose the correct flew. The bird flew over the field of flowers. And if we choose the correct one, we will choose this one, flew. So it says the bird flew over the field of flowers. The other flu, it means when you like when you're ill, right? You have the flu. And then I know a nice place for a picnic. So I know is no or no. I know a nice place for a picnic. No. Which one is the correct one? Is it the first option, no, which is no, or the second option, no, which is KNOW? So we need to select the correct word. No in O or no in KNOW. And if we choose the correct one, we will say the second one, which is I know a place for a picnic. So well done. All right, so now let's do our last test. The bird flew option one or flew option two over the field of flowers. Is it option one or option two? Flew over the field of flowers. So you can just show if it's option one or option two. And if we choose the correct one, we will choose the second one, which is the bird flew. It's like to fly over the field of flowers. So well done, flew is correct. Bradley threw the ball over. Do we say over there, which is option one, or there, which is option two? So there, is it the first option there or the second option there? Brandy threw the ball over there. All right. And if we say Brandy threw the ball over there, and then we're going to choose the first option, which is there. All right. So this is now the end of our lesson on homophones. We said homophones are words that sounds the same, but the spelling and the meaning are different, right? All right, so now thank you very much for everybody for everybody for joining the lesson, and I really hope you're going to have a good weekend further. Goodbye.